Welcome, my sons and daughters. My name is Elder George, and I am Chief of Men's Action to Rebuild Society, an organization dedicated to fostering a more natural way of life for humankind. Today we bring you part 3 of the series, The Natural Woman. The title of today's video is Birth Control and the Single Woman. Birth Control and the Single Woman. A woman's body was designed to become pregnant so that she could bring forth life into this world and to nurture it. What do you suppose happens to that body if chemicals are put into it to disrupt the natural process of becoming pregnant? Is a scientific study necessary to come to the conclusion that it would be bad for the body? Reason alone would dictate that to interfere with what is natural would produce negative consequences. Unfortunately, almost everything that Western society does is out of harmony with nature, and therefore it readily promotes unnatural practices. The breakdown of the family and the lack of guidance and discipline that it provided increased sexual promiscuity and pregnancy among girls and young women. The government said not to worry. Take birth control pills. And if an occasional slip-up occurs, you can always get an abortion, and parental consent is not required. There was no advice given on morality, since we have a government that prides itself on being amoral. What the government didn't tell the girls and young women was that there's a causative link between birth control pills and breast cancer, and that there's a link between abortion and breast cancer, and that these links are cumulative. It didn't tell them that taking the pill or having an abortion before a first full-term pregnancy made them especially vulnerable to the negative effects of the pill and abortion. It didn't tell them that breastfeeding babies helps to reduce the likelihood of developing breast cancer. Teenage girls and young women are those most likely to take the pill and have an abortion before a first full-term pregnancy. They are obviously least likely to breastfeed children. In essence, they are being groomed to have their tits chopped off when they reach their 40s. The products of pharmaceutical companies will not be able to save them, since it was the use of these toxic products that caused the cancer to begin with. When I lived in Harlem, I knew a woman about 40 years of age who had had radical surgery as a result of having breast cancer. She told me that no one in her family, on the men's side or the women's side, ever had cancer of any sort. She confided in me that she took both birth control pills as a teenager, that she had an abortion as a teenager, and she said, "Look at me now." 2 months after she told me that story, I was standing over her casket in a funeral home. And I prayed to God, and I said, "Lord, as long as you keep the breath of life in me, I will do my best to see that other young women don't join her. That's why I'm making this video. I hope that I will influence some of you to not use birth control drugs and to consider abortion as your last option. The counselors and advisors to pregnant teenagers and young women make abortion sound like such a simple procedure. And it is. But they don't tell you the negative effect that it has on your body, mind, and soul. A conservative African-American publication, now defunct, titled Destiny Magazine, ran a cover story on abortion in which they addressed post-abortion syndrome. I'm showing you the magazine now. I'm going to read to you some of the effects resulting from abortions. Guilt, shame, varying degrees of depression, mood swings, fear, panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, violence, flashbacks, anger, eating disorders, promiscuity, substance abuse, feelings of emptiness, lesbianism, insomnia, hatred of men, hatred of self, phobias, bitterness, stomach disorders, child abuse, and loss of purpose. These are just some of the signs of post-abortion syndrome. Think it over well before you decide on an abortion. Another method of birth control that also has a negative effect on the well-being of women is the use of condoms. Women have a natural dislike of the use of condoms, and there's a reason for it. Research has shown that the incidence of depression is greater among women whose mates use condoms during sex, or whose partners use condoms, than women whose partners do not use condoms. The reason for this is that the male sperm contains a substance that acts as a relaxant when deposited in the womb. God wants mating to be pleasant. So what is the single woman to do regarding sex? The best thing that she can do is wait until she gets married to have sex. The next most natural method of birth control is to not have sex during the fertile period, which is only a very small part of the monthly cycle. If she avoids having sex 9 days after her period ends until 9 days before it begins, she will most likely not get pregnant. There are more specific ways to determine the fertile period, which I won't go into here, but which is common knowledge, and I suggest that you look into it. In review, chemicals that cause the disruptive flow of your natural cycle are cancer-inducing, especially when combined with abortions. Condom use can lead to depression. The concern of becoming pregnant can lead to anxiety on the part of the single woman. Get married and enjoy yourself. Until then, be careful and stay away from chemicals. Please check out our website on mensaction.net. That's MENSACTION.net. If you look under member editorial on our website, you will find an essay from Dr. Phil Valentine concerning the negative effects of strenuous exercise, which we will address in our next video. Take care, and until next time, I send you my love.